everybody, it is Tracy Chan, your favorite immigration lawyer from Australia, and today I'm here to talk about the 491 visa in Western Australia. First of all, before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with people who need it. If you are interested in any other topics and would like me to talk about it in my videos, drop a comment below and I will do my best to make the video. I've also left our contact details below if you want to get in touch with myself or one of our fabulous lawyer or migration agents. We have lawyers and migration agents that are based across Australia. I have also started introducing mini migration courses. It is available on my website at courses.tracymigration.com.au. You'll find a range of different courses and there's many more to come. So make sure you stay subscribed to that. Some are free, some are paid. So it's all there for you guys. Okay, so today, the 491 visa in Western Australia. This is a very interesting one. You may have heard that a lot of your friends have recently been invited for this visa and it's kind of like, whoa, how is this working? A few years ago, Western Australia was definitely the place to be. If they went to Western Australia, it was highly likely that they'd be invited for a 190 or 491 visa. So let's talk about how they invite, what you can do to be invited, and how to maximize your chances at an invitation. So first of all, do remember that this is the 491 visa. So if you are invited for this visa, you're usually required to sign a nominations declarations form about the information you've supplied and also that you will live in Western Australia for the period of your 491 visa. Now, this is a funny one. So I've been to a few different meetings with different states, so New South Wales, and some have stated that people have mixed opinions about this because when you're actually granted the 491 visa, there's no conditions on the 491 visa besides the fact that you have to live and work in regional Australia. There's no specific postcode and there's no specific state. However, to be granted the 491 visa prior to that, you do sign a nominations declarations form. That form does ask you to commit to the state, say Western Australia, for at least the period of your 491 visa. And although I didn't hear this firsthand from WA, I've heard from other states that they can withdraw your nomination. So, just because you've been nominated, that nomination is ongoing. So when you're granted the 491 visa, apparently they can still withdraw your 491 nomination for that state. So when we are advising clients now, we are telling them to err on the side of caution. We haven't seen any withdrawals or any issues thus far, but it's something to be very wary about. So the way that I go about it is if you are planning to, apply in that state, make sure that you are open to living there. Because very well, from the period you start living there to apply or to the period you actually get invited and to the period your actually visa gets granted, there's a period there as well. Let alone the time actually on your 491 visa. So do make sure it is somewhere that you believe that you can live and work. So first of all, we do have to very quickly explain the expression of interest requirements because Western Australia is initially submitted through an expression of interest on Skills Select. It is unlike some other states where you have to lodge a registration of interest or a state nomination directly with the state. All you have to lodge for Western Australia is an expression of interest that will go in, look at that expression of interest, and if you meet the eligibility requirements, they will invite you to apply for the visa. So first of all, you must have a relevant skills assessment on an occupation on that list. So depending on the 491 visa, if you're applying under the general stream or the graduate stream, you have to check if your occupation's on there, which we'll go through later. And let's just say it is, you must have a relevant and valid skills assessment. So if you're applying as an accountant under the graduate stream, then you need to have a valid skills assessment. You must be under 45 years old at the time of invitation. So how Western Australia works is that firstly, you lodge an expression of interest, then you receive a pre-invitation, and then you have to submit the documents relevant to the pre-invitation, and then they will give you a state nomination and an invitation in your expression of interest on Skills Select. Only then is everything frozen and everything stops then. So if you are turning 45 soon, it is very important for you to be aware that you have to be fully invited for that time to freeze essentially. If you lodge your expression of interest and you haven't been invited yet, then you still have to be under the age of 45 at the time of invitation. Now, you must score at least 65 points on Skills Select. Now, this does include the 15 points from the state. So the lowest you can go is 50 points. So you have 50 points that you have secured yourself, and then the state will give you an extra 15 points as well. So that takes you up to 65. Now, it is invited on a points basis, highest points first or whatnot. So it's very important that you are working towards the highest points you can obtain as possible, because obviously competition is high. You must have the required English level. Now, for an expression of interest, you only need competent English. You need to continue to check under the schedule requirements, under the stream requirements, under occupation requirements, if there's a specific English requirement for that profession. Some professions, they want 7 each. Some professions, they accept 6 each. So that's something you need to be aware of. So if you are eligible in that sense, your occupation is on that occupation list, I'll drop a link below to the occupation list, which does change time to time as well. So do make sure you stay up to date with that. Now, Western Australia does do monthly invitations. Now, I don't think it's on a specified date. I think they're very close, like, the 20th or something like that. But I don't think it's like clockwork that every month on that date, they will send out invitations. I have seen that it's basically been on a monthly basis, which is really exciting. So you can be invited in one of 2 streams. So we are just talking about the 491 visa today. So if you look, there's 491 visa, there's General Stream Schedule 1, General Stream Schedule 2, and Graduate Stream. The requirements, again, are different for each stream. We'll talk briefly about them. Now, they have also actually issued recently an invitation rounds page. So they have information about the occupations that were invited. I think it even says when they launched their EOI, and also it says how many points they were invited at. So if you are applying under the general stream, this is how they rank your expression of interest. So they first prioritize those who are currently living in Western Australia, then those who are living in another state in Australia, then those who are living overseas. It will go by the expression of interest points, and then the first that was submitted. So they'll go by the highest points and then those that were submitted first. So that's kind of how it works in terms of, ranking. The graduate stream follows a similar ranking process, but then they split those who have done a higher degree, so a bachelor or higher, and those who are VET graduates, so vocation, education and training graduates. So again, for both sectors, they'll be inviting people and prioritizing people who are living in WA, then those who are living interstate, and then those who are living overseas. They will also then prioritize those who have completed higher degrees, so if they completed a PhD, if they completed honours degree, if they completed a bachelor degree, and then on the VET side, they'll prioritize those who have done an advanced diploma, certificate 3, you know how it goes. And then it will go by the highest points and then the oldest submission date. Now, if you do receive an invitation, you'll get an email in your inbox and it'll say you are invited to apply for state nomination, and then you'll have to submit your documentation. You have to meet the state nomination requirements under each stream. Okay, so now I'll talk about the general requirements for each of the streams. So for the general stream, there's 2 schedules and they're relevant to occupations. So some occupations appear on Schedule 1, some occupations appear on Schedule 2, some appear on both. Okay, then there's occupations that appear only on the graduate stream. Okay, so as a rule of thumb, for all streams, you have to meet the general department requirements, which is obviously easy. For under the general stream, if you're Schedule 1, your occupation has to be on the Schedule 1 list. For the general stream Schedule 2, your occupation has to be on the Schedule 2 occupation list. And then for the graduate stream, your occupation has to be on the graduate occupation list. You must meet the minimum English requirements. Okay, so depending, you have to check the PDF below of the schedule requirements. They change regularly, so just double check if it's an occupation, if there's any English requirements. Now, this is where it kind of differentiates. So for Schedule 1, you have to have work experience in your nominated occupation. So it must be 1 year post-qualification. That work experience can be in Australia or overseas, but it has to be relevant to occupation. So if you are an accountant, you must have 1 year work experience as an accountant. So probably they will prioritize those who are in General Stream 1. In the second stream, basically you don't have to have any work experience requirements. So that Stream 2 is basically like the easiest, but then obviously you can imagine if it's the easiest, it's probably the most competitive as well. And then under the graduate stream, no work experience is required. Now, don't get this confused with the skills assessment requirements, okay? So for a lot of occupations for skills assessment, you don't need anything. You can just apply for a skills assessment. But there's a handful of occupations which probably a lot of people, when they've done their consultations, they've realized that they have to actually get work experience to get a skills assessment. This is completely different to the WA requirements. Don't get that confused. So for example, if you're a marketing specialist and you want to apply in WA, that's if marketing specialist is even on the list at the time in WA. Regardless of which stream you're falling under, you can't get a skills assessment as a marketing specialist unless you have at least 1 year post-qualification work experience. Now, for all 3 streams, you don't need a contract of employment. So this is where it differs from the 190, because the 190, to be able to accept the state nomination, you actually need to present a job offer in WA. So under the general stream, under Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, there's no requirement for you to have studied in WA, but there is for obviously the graduate stream. And then same, there's no need for you to study for at least 2 years for Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, but obviously under the graduate stream, it is very important that you meet the Australian study requirement and study for at least 2 years in Western Australia. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, the 491 visa. That's basically how it works. You would lodge your expression of interest, make sure you meet the requirements. Again, I put a link to the PDF below, but I have given a very general explanation as to how it works. You would then wait for an invitation. Those who are living in WA are gonna get prioritized. So yes, I am aware that a lot of people are moving to Western Australia at the moment. However, just keep in mind that if you are accepting the nomination, you are signing a nominations declarations form, and I've heard that other states can withdraw your nomination. And then once you're invited, you can lodge a state nomination. Once your state nomination is granted, you can apply for the visa. And then it's just a waiting game for your visa to be approved. Now, at the nomination stage to the visa stage, it's not set in stone that you're definitely going to be granted it. It's a very good indication because you've been invited. But if there is mistakes in your expression of interest, you've overclaimed points or something like that, just be aware that there is still a risk of refusal. So make sure that you do get the right legal and migration advice before you make any application. It is super, super important. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.